Hi, welcome to the third video. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the child's process when they learn a sign and then what you want to do to really help them and teach them. So, you know where to start or what signs to start with, and then you have your repertoire of signs to sort of choose from as you start adding in signs. I want to talk to you about what their process is like when they learn a sign and then what you want to do alongside them to teach them and help them. So in the beginning, when you start signing, pretty much what happens is what you see here today. They don't really pay particular attention to it. So the lights, the people, the instruments, the signs, everything is equally interesting. So they don't pay particular attention to the sign. This is the stage where you want to repeat, 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 and try to do it as much as possible. So when you're feeding them, you stop feeding them, do the sign for more, then you feed them again a couple of bites, or if you're nursing them, then you do the sign again. And you want to keep trying to make that eye contact, hold their gaze, get your hands in front of them, and do the sign. And that can take some doing, like we talked about earlier. You have to alter your routine to accommodate that. But that's the first stage, and so in the next few days and weeks, that's what you want to do. It really does take some effort to do that, especially if they're not really paying attention to it. It can feel like it takes a while. But after a while, they will really start to pay attention. And you see them sort of zoning in on it. And it's like the wheels are turning and they're sort of going, why do you keep doing this? What am I supposed to do here? When you see that they are really paying attention to the sign and they're starting to focus on it, that's when you want to stretch out those moments. So if you finally have their attention while you're doing the sign for more, you don't want to just go more and then go about your business. You want to then stretch it out and talk about it and go, more? You sure you want more? Do you want more food? Are we not done yet? Do you want more? And so when you have that attention, hold it. Stretch out the moment so that they can really see the sign. After a while of doing that, you'll see that they start to understand the sign. They're starting to get what the meaning is. And with language development, there's of course two sides of it. There's receptive language and expressive language. And receptive language always comes first. First, they will understand it. So if you get a reaction when you do this, and that reaction tells you that they understood you, you're actually halfway there in this process. So that's really exciting. What you might want to do, and you certainly don't have to, but sometimes it's good to sort of test their understanding just for your own reference so you know where the child's at. And the way that you would do that is rather than grabbing the bottle of milk and putting them wherever you normally put them when you feed them and then doing the sign and getting a reaction from them, you would want to just do the sign and not have anything surrounding them that tells them from context what's going on. So you're kind of testing where they're at. So you would just do the sign, see if you get a reaction, see if they understood. And if they did, great, now you know. You know that you're sort of halfway there. After that stage, after that point where they've understood the sign, you see that they start to sort of connect the dots, that perhaps they can do a sign with their own bodies. And that'll manifest or show in several ways. One thing I've seen with several kids is that when you're signing to them and they're starting to figure it out, they will actually literally look at their own hands. It's like they're starting to figure out, I'm supposed to do something with these things, I just don't know what it is yet. But you will see them sometimes looking at their hands. That's actually them trying to figure it out. Something else that you might see at that stage is where they do a movement that they already know. For a lot of kids, it's clapping. One of the first movements, of course, that they can do is clapping. So a movement that they already know could be an early attempt at signing. So be aware of that. If you're doing this and your kid responds with this, that's an early attempt at signing. Another thing that you could see at that point is that they grab your hands, because initially a lot of children associate getting what they want with your hands, because you're the one who's signing and you're the one who's moving, and that's what gets them whatever it is that they want. So what they might do is actually take your hands and try to get you to move your hands, because they know if mom goes like this, I get more food. And that's, again, that's them trying to figure it out, and that's them trying to participate in sign language. They're just doing it on your hands and not on their own. When your child is going through that stage where they are either looking at their hands or they're grabbing your hands or they're doing a movement that they already know, that's a great time to take their hands and let them feel what a sign feels like. You can really help them connect the dots. It's sort of a hand-on-hand technique where you take their hands and let them feel it. It's very, very helpful. When they're learning to sign, they have two different sensory experiences. One is that they're looking at you, so they have a visual experience of what a sign is when they see it. But when they do it themselves, it's a physical experience. It's something that's movement, that they feel in their bodies. And so to connect those dots and to help them understand that and apply that, it can be really, really helpful to actually take their hands and let them feel what a sign feels like. And the best time to do that is when you see your child making those early attempts at signing and trying to figure it out. If your child resists and they sort of tense up when you try to move their hands, don't force them. There really is no point. And the whole reason we do sign language is to make life easier, not to start more battles with them. So if they resist, just let it go and try again later. But if they let you, it's really valuable and really helpful for a child to actually feel what a sign is like, to do it with their own bodies. And I actually like using that hand-on-hand technique a lot. I'll do it a lot earlier, and sometimes even when I introduce a new sign, I will take a child's hands and let them feel what the sign feels like. It's a strategy that works really well for me, and it might work for you as well. So think about that, try it out. Again, if they resist, don't force them, just try again later. But if they let you, it can be really valuable to let them feel what it's like to do a sign. After they go through that stage where they're trying to connect the sign to their own bodies, you'll see that they start to sign. They will actually produce a sign. And it's important to be aware that in the beginning, those signs won't look the same as they do on us, because obviously an infant does not have the same fine motor skills that we do, and so there are some differences. And in the next video, we're going to talk about what those differences look like so that you can be aware and be on the lookout for what your child's early attempts at signing might look like. The earliest that I've seen a child sign is 9 months. That's the earliest. Most kids, it kicks in around 10 months or so. And it depends. It depends a little bit on how much you're able to do. It depends on your child. It depends on their development. If it's a preemie, they're going to take a little bit longer, etc. So, but that's the process. They don't pay attention. You're just going to repeat, and try to make eye contact and show them the sign. They start to pay attention. You want to stretch out the moments. They're understanding the sign. You want to test their understanding a little bit. They're starting to transfer it over to their own bodies to figure it out. That's a great time to take their hands and let them feel it. And then you'll see them doing a sign.
I have a
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
When you say the words, can you say them in other languages and it's the same sign?
Yes. So what you do for bilingual or multilingual families is whatever language the person's speaking, you're going to keep speaking that language, and you just use the sign. Just know that you're using a sign from American Sign Language. So if you're Spanish speaking, you're not then also introducing a Spanish sign. Does that make sense? So the sign is still from American Sign Language, from that vocabulary, and the sign is the same regardless of the spoken language. So you might be speaking English and Spanish, but the sign is always going to be the same thing, okay? And for bilingual families or multilingual families, it's actually really, really helpful to have signs, because some of their kids take a little bit longer with speech because they're acquiring speech in 2 languages. So having signs is really helpful.
مين حبيبي؟ ايه ده؟ ايه ده؟ more.
Okay, let's go.
مين حبيبي؟ أنا مين؟ مين حبيبي؟ أنت مين؟
More? Okay.
哦，冰淇淋，这是什么？狗狗，狗狗，再一次狗狗，橘色的球，这是什么？狗狗，没有了，又有吃，没有了。
Another point I want to make is that you want to involve other people in this process. So if your child comes into contact with a daycare center or a nanny or the grandparents, you want to make sure that they're at least a little bit aware of what's going on. So if your child knows the sign for milk, make sure that other people know that, so that way they can respond. It can be very confusing to a child if they're doing their version of the sign for all done and nobody's responding because they don't know that that's what they're doing. So if they go to a daycare center or there's a nanny, just try to clue them in and sort of let them know we're working on a certain sign, or if you see my child do a certain movement, that actually means X, Y, and Z. And what you want, ideally, is for children to start to understand that sign language is part of communication. But that means you have to involve everybody. What you don't want, what's sort of, I guess, less productive, is if they only sign with you or only associate the signs with you. You would like them to connect it to all communication and hopefully be able to sign with as many people as possible, because that will really reinforce it. So rally your friends and grandparents and nannies and neighbors, and just get them to be a part of it. It'll go a long way. But can you see this part?
Yeah.
You see this part?
Yeah.
So what of this do you see? So if I'm like this, can you see?
Your paper?
Yeah.
No.
If I look down.
On this camera, I probably can though.
Oh, okay. From where up can you see me?
I can see the top of your knee now.
Is this in the shop?
Nope.
Is it in that shop?
Yep.